I've always been a unique person, you know what I mean? Sort of laid back in a way, but very adamant and very passionate about what I believe. I think a lot of times that sort of throws people off because they don't expect me to have the mindset or the process of thought that I do. And so when you come in to watch my channel, you may hear a myriad of thoughts and ideas that could be different from others. What I want you to do is just sit back, like, share, and subscribe. To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Helping you along the way. Helping you to make it through another day. Yeah, yeah. Everything you need to know that you never knew, that you need to know. Like our perspective.
Well, hello, and happy Saturday to everybody. It is April the 3rd, 2021. This year, it seems to be flying by. But don't we hear that all the time? Every time you hear time is flying by, must be having fun. Well, today we are discussing specifically the question, you still aren't married? Why aren't you married yet? Are you in that category? Are you one of those people that are not married and everybody wants to understand why? Well, I think there are a few reasons why that is happening. Now, I know for the families, this is a really important thing that we're talking about because the purpose of marriage is procreation. Although it seems like right now, these days, it's a little backwards. There are more people who are having children without being married than there are being married and then waiting later to have the children during the marriage. I think that in the Black community, for specific reasons I will point to, it's because of the fact that for our culture, so many years ago, things began to change. And when you consider the changes that were made, it's no reason why there are so many women who are Black, who are 40 and 50 years old, who've never even had a child. And there are a lot of them who are less than that, who've never even been married and possibly don't even have the prospect of being married. Marriage is one of those things that it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of time to perfect, right? And I think that the issue with especially Black women right now is that we are at an astronomical rate being out married by our cultural counterparts or those in other cultures. And there's a reason for that. So here's my assessment as to the reason, and then we'll get into some statistics. For instance, back in the day when we did have more people getting married within our culture, we saw others married and stay that way. We had our great grandparents and we had our, great uncles and our uncles and aunts who stayed married, even though they may have gone through some tumultuous stuff, they stuck it out. Somewhere along the line, we began to believe that education was the key, and that was the thing that we should get first. And then marriage would come second. But the unfortunate piece about that is you're literally considered a geriatric pregnancy if you get pregnant at 35 or older. So really, how much time do you have to get married? And what are the early years really for? Some would say that they remember their grandmothers getting married when they were 15. Well, my mom did that. My mother was married at 15 years old, and then she had me at 17, the oldest of her children. So I grew up watching a mom and dad until my mother and father divorced. Then she got married again, and then she got divorced. And then she got married again. And with that, she had several sets of children from each one of the previous husbands, which was why I made the choice that if I was going to have kids, they were only going to have one last name, and that would be the last name that I had and the last name that their father had. Marriage most certainly is important, and understanding why will possibly help to solve some of the ignorance within the Black community that says it's not necessary. Well, it's necessary if you want to have healthy citizens, healthy children born with your last name or from your lineage. Statistics show that children who are born out of wedlock have a little bit harder time handling themselves in public or social settings. The majority of the Black women who have children today have it even harder than the single moms that were single because of, say, being widowed of the days of old. And I think it's something to be said about that. Before we get in any further, let's go on ahead and say hello to some folks here. We have Iron Crane 2003, not married, no kids, don't really want either to change. Ozamala says, how did I know I'm not getting married, girl? Salute from Old Head Deuce. Forgiven and Blessed says, I'm widowed and I don't plan to remarry, but I'll be 50. I'll be 50 this month. Yeah, divorce was really unheard of from Ozamalice. Old Head Deuce says, marriage isn't important. Finding a great companion is. He goes, Ozamalice says, my mom got married at 15 also, but she also married 5 times, but she found a winner in my dad. Melinda, how are you? It is awesome to see you. Great to see you. Iron Crane 2003 says, if you're familiar with Kevin Samuels, check out his content. He reveals some interesting stuff on certain mindsets regarding education and marriage in the Black community, which is exactly where I'm headed. That is exactly where the conversation is heading. And I say that because he is absolutely right. It is a problem when it comes to the educational piece within our community because that's what we've been told to get first. And do you know that mindset came from a group of women who were taught that it was bad or they were being looked down upon simply for taking care of their household. You know, we always use the analogy here that there is a team, and on the team, you got all the different pieces or every different role on a team. But it's amazing that when you look at a football team, for example, you know exactly who each person is. Every guy or gal nowadays that's playing that game, let's use men specifically, they understand their role, they understand their part, they understand where they're supposed to come up the field. They understand, the quarterback understands, when he's supposed to throw the ball. He's got that timing. The wide receiver understands his gig. But the only place that's been torn apart or looked down upon, if you are in your role, is marriage. Hence, you've got a lot of Black women who are now out there with major degrees. They're out there doing their thing, and they don't have any children, and they don't have any husbands. And so the channel, as we shared before, is looking into the family. And that's exactly where I'm headed right now with you. I believe that when women say, I'm going to wait out, I'm going to wait and see, if I can get better than this guy. What I've always taught my kids, and it's unfortunate because they are in that age group that doesn't want to get married. But what I've always taught them was, if you're going to date somebody, make sure that while you're dating, you are using the mindset that says, if I cannot imagine myself with this person, then you do not sleep with them. If you cannot imagine yourself married to that person, then you should not put yourself in a position to procreate and then they have to move along, or you have to move along. It's not good. The part of it that we should remember is that the Father put us here to have spouses so that we would procreate, and in tandem with procreating, that we would inevitably have companionship for our older years. But the problem started way back when the bra burning hit, and all of the Black women thought that the equality that was being shouted about was really for them. Well, society had something for our community as well. They went in through the Black communities and they started to offer an exchange for the man. We're going to give you food stamps, and we're going to give you financial assistance, and we're going to even give you, medical down the road if you make sure you don't have to have any guys living with you. If you have a man living with you, then you're not going to be able to get this. So the woman began to look at the fact that maybe her husband, maybe they had some problems in the relationship, and maybe she felt like, gee whiz, I don't need him. I can go out here and get this small job while I'm working on my education and take this money over here from the welfare. And while I'm taking this money from the welfare, they'll help me get my education, and I can raise these kids without that man. I don't need a man. I am an independent woman, because that was the garbage that was put in our brains from the devil to replace the spouse, because the attack is and has always been on the family. The attack from the dark side has always been on the family. If a husband and a wife are not one unit, then the devil has your children, which is really all he wants. He doesn't care anything about the wife. He doesn't care anything about the husband. He wants that young seedling that is able to be bent and turned into the direction that he wants it to be. And that's where we are right now today. So the reason why you see so many different alternative lifestyles on the rise right now today, especially in the Black community, is specifically because we have been taught how not to mother. Let me tell you, it's amazing to me. When you think about not mothering, let's think about the way we are supposed to, something simple, childbirth. Childbirth states that the baby, you're in gestation for X amount of months, X amount of weeks, and then at the specific appointed time, that person, that baby, will leave the mother's womb out of that dimension and slide itself, push itself, fight itself its way out into this dimension. The natural progression of things says that, well, mom's going to get some pain. After she gets the pain, she may have a mucus plug. She may lose her water. And then bingo, bango, here comes the little bouncing baby boy or girl. Well, when I say that the attack starts for the children, that the attack is to get the children, let's look at it now. Nowadays, you can plan when to have your baby. If the doctor decides that he or she has to go on vacation at the time that you're supposed to be giving birth, all they got to do is tell you to pick a day, any day out of this week. You can have your baby. We'll just go ahead and induce you. Every Black girl right now that I've spoken to most recently, majority are having a C-section. Unmarried, but they're having a C-section. I said once before that anything that goes in or out of the vaginal cavity, you will get attached to, which is the reason why you don't sleep with just any old random guy. Because that's when you find yourself hanging out with a dude and you really don't like him or trust him, but you gave up the cookies too soon and now you're stuck with him because you've got a soul tie. But back to the mother. When she decides that she's going to go ahead and have that C-section, she's not going to be as close to that baby as she would have had that baby slid out of her body. You look that up. So my point is that we have got things so mixed up. And in order for me to actually even flip the channel the way that I need to, back to the family, we got to start here. We got to start with understanding why you are to marry. Why? That if you don't marry, then just don't have the sex. But you can't do that. I'm speaking to people who are believers right now. I'm not speaking to people who are not believers. Only the believer is who I am directing this conversation to. So if you cannot not do it, then just get married. If you can't not, it's better to marry than to burn. How about that? You got that scripture? It's better to marry than to burn. A lot of people are saying, well, I'm grown. I'm going to do what I want to do. Okay, well, then you deal with the consequences. But a lot of people are not getting married right now because the roles have been reversed and the woman is now in the place of the man. And the woman, between the ages that I just described to you, actually thinks that she's going to be able to wait after the education. If you wait until after the education, if you wait until after you finish school, and if you wait till after you get the job, and if you wait till, you're never going to get married. I know women right now today that are not married and are my age, and we went to high school together. I'm on my grandchildren now. I have grandkids now. They don't have one child. They don't have one child. And I mean to tell you that you cannot hug up on a degree or a job or the watch they gave you for retiring when you're in your mid 50s and 60s. It doesn't work like that. So the problem that happened within the Black community is that they exchanged the father out and gave the Black woman the welfare. And it made it easier for her to become that independent person. So you broke up the household that way. And then you got those women from that era that went through that, talking to the younger women of this era, telling them, you don't need no man. All you need to do, girls, go out there and get your education. You can do it all by yourself. What do you need a man for? That is the most ignorant thing I've ever heard older women tell younger women. Inside of the marriage, for those women who have gotten married, let's look at it. You want to get a divorce. Why? Think about it. Why do you want to get a divorce if you're a younger woman who happens to be married between the ages, let's say between 22 and 29? You want to get a divorce because things are not going your way. You want to get a divorce because maybe he's out there, philandering and having his way. You want to get a divorce for whatever the reason is, but it's the basis for all divorce, in my opinion, is selfishness. It's selfishness. Because nobody wants to stop a minute and listen to what's really going on. And nobody stops to think about the fact that if you've got children, for example, you're going to have a problem raising those kids by yourself. I suffered a divorce in 2002 and moved to Georgia from California. By 2003, I left my children in California with their father for 90 days until I got a job, a car, and a place to stay. My husband had been physically abusive. Prior to us getting in the going and moving back to California from during the military times, he was exceptional during the military days. But once he got out, whatever happened, and he switched up. He did. I'm not sure if it was because he was in the war. I'm not sure if it was because he just had PTSD. I don't know what it was. But once the physical abuse happened, it was a problem. Now, I think it was probably started because of the fact that he was also, after getting out of the military and being very depressed, having lost his dad and his grandmother, they were all very close, he started to use social drugs. Well, the social drugs, I can stand with you. I can stand with you. I can pray with you. I can pray you through. I can tarry. I can do all of that for you. But when you put your hands on me and I have to physically defend myself, we've got a problem. I went to our church and I showed one of the female pastors or ministers there part of my body. And I asked her, I said to her, I need you to tell me something. Even though I knew it, I needed her to tell me. I said, I want you to look at this and I want you to tell me if this is abuse. I took off my top, my jacket that I had, and I showed her my arm. And she says, well, if you're telling me your spouse did this, then yes, it is abuse. We don't tell people to divorce here at the church, but we will tell you that there needs to be a separation, 2 different domiciles for a hot minute. So what I did is I went ahead and I started the process and made sure that I shared with my husband, listen, I won't file this paper if you do this. And all I want you to do is just get some help. Here's a list of people that you can go and talk to. There's some stuff down there at the VA. You can go several places so that you can start to sort these things out. Well, he continued. Then it went on to another thing. Then I said to myself, you know what? I got to just let it go. Because if I don't, and my younger son came to me and said, you have sons, Mom. You got to get rid of him before one of us hurt him. Because you're our mother, and we're not going to let you get beat up. Now, mind you, we were all a very good and close family for years. And all of a sudden, he decides to go the physical route. So, of course, after giving him at least 3 opportunities to fix it, I had no choice but to remove myself and the children from a harmful situation. Why do I bring that up? I bring that up because my first statement was the majority of divorces and marriage start from selfishness. And I wanted to make it clear, ladies and gentlemen, that if you're experiencing what I just described, you wanting to get out of that is not selfishness, it's self-preservation. And you must do what you need to do to make sure that both you and your children are in a safe and healthy environment. Therefore, if this is your situation, this statement is not for you. But for the people who decide that you just don't want to cook anymore, you just don't want to clean anymore, the wife just doesn't want to have sex anymore, the wife just doesn't want to do X, Y, or Z. First of all, sister, your body's not your own. And if you're not going through what I just described, you need to get it together and get yourself someplace and figure out what the problem is with you. If it's health and if it's physiological issues that you're having, obviously, like the other people, we're going to shove you in that department and say, well, you have physical issues that prevent you from doing what you're supposed to do with your husband to keep him where he needs to be. And so therefore, that's not for you. But for everybody else that just decides that you want to follow along with the world and say, it's my body, it's my decision, I don't have to do X, Y, or Z, and you call yourself a believer, you are out of line. You see how easy that works? The selfishness that it takes for you to prevent your husband from being intimate with you is the selfishness that will inevitably cause your marriage to be devoured and dissolved. Point blank and period. So you've got all the women right now who are getting a divorce, and they're getting a divorce because of selfishness. And then you've got a whole bunch others that's coming behind them that have seen all the bad marriages that are in their neighborhood or in their community, and they decided, I'm not getting married. So you've got all these people now shacking up, living together. Now, here's the problem with that. If you are not married and you're living with somebody, ladies, and you think you're going to get married later, it ain't going to happen. And if it does happen, that's going to be a heck of a tumultuous ride. And it's not going to happen because, again, the old adage, why pay for the cow if you can get the milk for free? Okay. Or the other piece of that would be, we've been together for so long. It's fine. It's not broken. Why should we change it? It's okay. We don't need to change it. We'll keep it this way. And now you're looking at why we have, letter A, a number of people who are not in a normal relationship. You have homosexuality on the rise. You have people who are just not getting married. You have a lot of young people who are just shacking up. You have a lot of people who were not taught the importance of getting married. And that's why you see the question, you still ain't married? You aren't married yet. They're not getting married. So let's look at what the statistics are. Let's get some statistics rolling here. So we've got the historical marital status tables. So there are some tables here that give you, we'll go ahead and click it together. Well, no, I'll go ahead and just read it to you. So there's the first table that I'm going to open up and just open it up. You know, Microsoft is just they just want to own everything. You can't open anything up without them having their foot in it. I'll tell you what, I'm just going to close you up. How about that, boo-boo? That way you don't have to worry about being on my computer. Okay, so how times have changed. 50 years ago in 1968, living with an unmarried partner was rare. Only 0.1% of people who were 18 to 24 years old and 0.2% of people 25 to 34 years old lived with an unmarried partner, according to some of the current population surveys. This was done in 2018, I believe. So the measurement of the cohabitation from 1968 to 1995 was less precise. The estimate came from an indirect measure of opposite sex partners sharing living quarters in the late 1960s through the 1970s. It had a particularly lower reports of cohabitation. Also, when comparing 2008 to 2018, the years in which the current population survey asked a direct cohabitation question, cohabitation had increased by 24 to 34-year-olds, 25 to 34-year-olds. And the odds are slightly decreased for 18 to 24-year-olds. So, although cohabitation had increased for young adults over the last 50 years, it's important to note that the limitation and measurements that we're using on this particular chart had that certain periods of time did not produce increases in unmarried young adults living together. In contrast to the rising rates of cohabitation, the proportion of young adults who are married has declined over time. Today, 30% of young adults ages 18 to 34 are married. But 40 years ago, say around 78 or so, 79, 78, 59% of young adults were married. 59%. Now, this particular study also goes on to say that, and this is from the census, it goes on to say that income makes a difference. The links to all of that I'm reading are in the description box right now. Income makes a difference. Marriage rates today are less uniform across the socioeconomic groups, as the marriage rates for less educated groups who tend to earn less have fallen at a much faster rate than more educated groups since the 1970s. Adults who marry today tend to have a more favorable economic situation relative to other groups. For example, 40% of married young adults aged 18 to 34 earned $40,000 or more, compared to just 20% of unmarried young adults. Among young adults aged 25 to 34, the age range at which is more common to get married and earn at least $40,000 a year is 43% of married individuals. Wow. So, a recent Census Bureau study suggests that counties where young adults have higher socioeconomic characteristics, marriage rates tend to be higher as well. Many young adults experienced a lack of economic security after the Great Recession, and this may have contributed to more young adults living with a partner and not marrying. The 2018 America's Families and Living Arrangements Tables package uses the data from the 2018 Current Population Survey Annual Social and Economic Supplement, which has collected statistics on families, households, and living arrangements for more than 60 years. And that, again, is down below inside of the description box. So when you think about that, you have to wonder, why are they even caring about any of this? Probably because they want to make sure that whatever it was they started years ago is working. So now I'm back onto this side, and let's get some of these comments. Let's take a moment before we go on to the next article. Okay, I remember that comment. Let's see. All right, let's start here. All right, we saw that. Forgiven and blessed. He said, hello. Hello. Awesome Alice says, I may get married one day. I'm 35 and 2 kids. My sons said they want a dad and want me to be loved. That's a sweet thing for your children to say. That is so awesome. I think in our society, they now focus on gender identity and not gender roles. And that's exactly right. That's exactly the point. Been married and divorced, married and widowed twice, widowed 30 plus years, and I'm not looking. And that's your right to do so, but at least you've done it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of folks that just aren't doing it at all. Deplorable says, I was married for a year 40 years ago. Turned out I wasn't mature enough. Okay, and that's fair. Forgiven and Blessed says, God's will be done in my life. If he has another husband for me, that'll be great. But it'll also be great if it stays like this. I'm not going to sweat it either way, but I do miss my husband, though, and that's a sweet thing, precious. Hypergamy is a thing. Amen. Leaf Desi says, my dad married at 19 to my mom. They're still married in their 60s. Their parents were married until death. I also went by that rule. I only date someone that I want to marry. Absolutely. And you're really looking at people because what you're trying to do while you're dating them, leave Desi, to leave Desi's point, right here, to leave Desi's point, the purpose of dating is to finally settle down. But women better stop this. Oh, I got to wait and find me the right one because he ain't the right one. Well, then why are you seeing him? When you go out and you have coffee or you have tea, you're learning about this person and you're going to know that first few minutes that you guys are sitting there chit chatting if he's going to be the type of cat that you want to deal with because you already know your standards. But if you've not laid any standards up for yourself, well, therein lies the problem. What do you really want? What are you looking for? What do you want to be doing yourself, mom, woman? What do you want to be doing, woman, in the next 10 years? That's how I'm talking to ladies. What do you want to do in the next 10 years? If you are single right now, say you're 19, in the next 10 years, what do you want to do? Well, somebody's going to say, well, I want to have my education. I want to do this or that. Somebody might say, well, you know what? I'm really good with my hands. I like fixing hair. I want to get my own salon. I want to do all this other stuff. That's great. My encouragement to you is if you're going to do all of that, that's wonderful, but do it together. Do it together. And if you have a child while you're married early on, then you need to sit your rump down at the house and quit trying to find some surrogate to take care of your kids. Okay, period. All right, so Iron Crane says, Genesis tells us several times to go out, to go forth and multiply, but for some of us, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. That is too cute. That is too cute. Okay, that was adorable. I like that one. Melinda says, God is the head of my household, but I sure could use a plumber and an electrician. Girl, ain't nothing like a man with a tool belt on. Okay, ain't nothing like him. And then R. Jones says, if the husband and the wife are not one unit, then the devil has your children. That's absolutely the truth. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, if I knew what I know now, I would have waited and married first. Both father, I was engaged. Both father, I was engaged to, but by I was engaged to by when I got pregnant. But when I got pregnant, they decided responsibility was too much and left. So both fathers, you were engaged to both of the dads of your children, but when you got pregnant, they decided that it was just too much responsibility, and then they hit the bricks. Here's what I always say: when you meet somebody, everything that you can see that you should have access to is above the shoulders. You have the eyes so that you can see the person. You have the mouth so that you can talk to the person and get to know them. You got those ears on the side of your head so you could really learn what they're all about. That's the part right there that needs to be exercised, period. And then it makes the fact that when the person does then decide to ask you to marry them, or they just can't live without you, it makes the wedding night even better. Why? Because if you look even biblically, where there were people who were getting married, they would go to the next room or the next space, and that is where they would consummate the marriage. But now we're just consummating the marriage before we get married because we want to try out the training wheels. I heard some ignorant women say, well, if I can't test it out, girl, I don't want to get married. Well, then that's the reason why you stand around with all these kids and no husband. Not you, Alza Malice, the chick that said that statement, okay? So you keep on trying it out like they're training wheels. Keep on trying them out like there's some free, snacks sitting over there at the Costco's. You got one little lady over here cooking something, and you eat some of her snacks, and you go to the next aisle, and she's at the Costco. She's cooking something, and she's giving you a couple of coupons if you go down here and buy this mishmash. And then you go over here and this, keep it up. Keep going. Keep going. It's what I say to those ladies. You just keep going. All right. All right. And you'll see what you get. All right. Deplorable says, well, you can do that, not have sex. Yeah. How about that? How about that? How about keeping all that stuff that's below the waist to yourself until it's time to give it up? Because the problem is that you're giving it up and you still ain't got the cat. The cat still walks. The dude still walks. First off, are you guys of the same mind? What do you believe in? Do you both believe in the same thing? Where did you meet this person? We find out more about people on soap operas and the nighttime reality stories and shows than we do about the person that we date. We know everything about everybody's business on these programs, but you don't know about the person that you date. I had a funny situation where I asked a young lady what the name of the guy that she was dating was. I said, that's a unique nickname. He had a nickname. And I said, well, that's unique. What's his first name? And she stopped. You know, I don't really know his first name. So, whoa, back up here. You're dealing with somebody and you don't know their first name. You're just using a nickname, but you know everything about those stories. You know everything about the nighttime soap operas, all of that, the reality shows. You know it all. We have our priorities and a little bit of a jumble. And that jumble is what causes us our problem. So, the first thing that people need to understand, especially young women who are listening to me, if you are getting out of high school, going into college, that's great. But if you might meet your first love in college and you both graduate and you all get married, sit your rump at the house and let that man go out there and pursue what he needs to pursue so that he can feel as if he is doing what he needs to do to take care of his family. A man's worth, his measurement is in how he is able to provide. And if you take that from him and if you make him feel as if he's not needed, that is where you hear the statement come from when men say, she won't let me be the man. And then you have some idiot coming behind him saying, what do you mean, let him be the man? You a man, ain't you? Well, if you a man, just be a man. He can't be a man because what he's trying to tell you, Dodo, is I would like to be your superhero. I would like to be the one you need when something is not right. Why don't you move out the way and let me lead so that you can see how well I can take care of you? Would you please let me take care of you? That's what he's saying. And whether you know it or not, a lot of men are a little different than you think. Let me tell you what a man really is like. Some gentlemen are such gentlemen, especially with the woman that they love. We're talking about marriage now, that they will not push past what the wife says because he just adores her and he loves her. And it's whatever keeps her happy. Let's just go with it. But you're mistaking that as he's weak. He's not weak. He loves you, stupid. So let him be who he is and stop trying to be in competition with who he is and who he was made to be. Period. So there's that. Let's go on with the rest of the comments here. Mr. Leslie says they are making motherhood out of, they are taking motherhood out of every step of life. They succeeded with removing fatherhood decades ago, thus no family units anymore. And that's exactly right. My last two were C-sections due to complications, and we couldn't be any closer. But you know what? That's a totally different time frame, Melinda Ann, because I believe you and I are not far from each other's age. So back in our day, they weren't pushing C-sections as an alternative to regular birth. Now, honey, especially with all these young ladies that are taking the welfare money and the Medicaid and the Medicare money and all that other stuff just to have their children. They're taking a lot of the medical money that they're giving from the government, whether it be state or whatever, and they're using that money specifically to have their children by C-section because it's more money. So that's what I'm talking about. Iron Crane, thank you so much. Bedtime, but glad I caught the start of this. Stay incredible, Felicia. Stay a mighty champion in the name of Christ, King above all kings. Love you, brother. I'm so glad to see you. And thank you so very much for that donation. That's awesome. Thank you. Leave Desi says, you're right, my dear Felicia. I was burning until I fixed my marriage. You see what I'm saying? Fix your marriage. Learn how to just stay where you need to be and learn how to get someplace and pray. It's the worst thing on the planet is to see a woman who says she loves God and she trusts God and she just trusts him and she just puts all of her trust in him, but she refuses to pray for her family. Do not give up your family. Do not do that. Stay put. I'm telling you, stay put. Okay? I have grandchildren and great-grandchildren. That's awesome. I've been abstinent for more years than y'all will believe. If I ain't married, I ain't having. There you go. Why? Because you got all those diseases and sickness. Listen, there's even the C thing inside of semen. Did you see that report? It's inside of the semen. So who wants to go that route? Let that dude go on about his business. You're not going to marry him. So if you ain't going to marry him, how could you? What? Come on now. Come on now. Let that dude go on about his business. Let him go. You're not serious about him anyway. He's not serious about you. You don't even know his real name. His name is Bobo. C-section is only meant for emergency, like me being small. Exactly. Like me, I had, you had two. Yes, indeed. And that's exactly right. They are for a purpose, awesome Alice. Since I got divorced, my ex has been married 5 times. Whoa. Whoo. Give me your email address. I need to send you a link to come talk to us on this channel right now. That's amazing. Okay, so Deplorable says, this is my 20th year of continuous celibacy. I probably could use a plumber. Whoo, what Awesome Alice said. That's funny. Okay, so forgiven and blessed, right there with you. Tired of dating after the divorce. Tried dating after divorce, and even that didn't feel right. That was 15 years ago. Well, you see, I'm not the only one here with rusty pipes then. Oh, wow. Y'all are too much. Oh my goodness. That's the exact reason why I had to get a divorce, physical and mental abuse. Absolutely. So you got to let that go. But if you got a good person and they just have a drug problem, then you know what? Stand with them, put them in a place and get them some help and stand with them. Move out of the area that you're living in. Get them someplace else. If they're willing to move on, get them out of there. Right. But when you start to put your hands on somebody where you got to wake up to somebody trying to fight you, and then all of a sudden you got to pull up all your muscles and you got to whip their rump, that's a problem. I don't want to have to beat you. I do not want to have to beat you up for putting your hands on me. That's not cool. Keep your hands to yourself. You even teach your kids that. So yeah, I don't want to have to beat you up for putting your hands on me. Now you stop that. And then you cannot trust a person who put their hands on you. How are you going to lay down with that same person? Come on now. Knock it off. You know that doesn't make sense. Yes, self-preservation is different from selfishness. Absolutely. Because your partner is abusive. Yep. That's absolutely right. If you're constantly looking for something in someone else, you'll never find it. Oh, that is a true statement. Saw a good mother meme. I don't have a 9-to-5 job. I have eyes open to close job. And eyes open to close job. That is funny. That's why my mom got married so many times. She didn't believe in shacking up. Well, you know what? We don't believe in the shacking up piece, but that's possibly not your mom, but that's possibly the reason why we've got so many people that are not married, because they get up and test it out. And here's another problem, especially for women of my race. What we do of our culture is what they'll do is they'll treat a dude just like he's the husband. Because what's inside of us innately and automatically and what's natural for us is there's like a button that clicks on that the Father put in us. And it's when we're in a marital situation, husband, wife, we automatically, for the most part, all things being equal, and you're not a crackpot, we will automatically tune into nurture and taking care of. And so what you'll end up doing is taking all of that time and putting it in a cat that's not your husband. And then you get your heart broke wondering why he's out there doing what he's doing. Well, he's out there doing what he's doing is because he hasn't made the ultimate selection of who he wants to marry, because he hasn't married you, has he? No, but you've allowed him to live with you. My son calls them hobosexuals. The men who just move in with a woman, he ain't got a place to stay. He'll go from couch to couch until one woman gets smart and says, get out, or no, you can't live with me. So you've allowed him to be there, and now you're treating him like he's a king, and he's thinking, I'm the business. I can get this anywhere. And so what you've done is you've messed up the eco-friendliness of life. So you got to remember to keep yourself to yourself. Okay. Keep your kneecaps together. If you choose to go to school and you meet somebody that you guys fall in love with while you're in college, make sure y'all settle down. You go ahead and get your degree, mama, but have your children and sit your rump at the house. And if you're not, let me tell you, the thing that you need to understand is, and this is the sad part, and again, it's so hard because you can't talk to people who are not unchurched, because they don't, people who are not in the body, they're not going to understand. So that's why I keep saying this is not for you. But for those of you who are, you know better. Just knock it off. Anybody that wants to get down with you like that before they ever even get you down the aisle, they ain't worth it. And yeah, it does still exist. It does still exist. I know that Iron Crane mentioned Kevin Samuels. I have nothing against Kevin Samuels. I think he's outstanding. The man is on and popping. His channel is off the chain. He is a wizard at what he does. But here's the problem for me, coming from my standpoint, having a license and being ordained and doing all that stuff and dealing and talking with women for years and years. I cannot tell you to go out here and lay down with somebody. First off, it's nasty. It's not that I've never done it. I've been young before too. Okay. But I'm just telling you from a standpoint that's biblical and a standpoint that says, don't do like I did, learn from me and don't do it. I will tell you that it is not cool because of the fact that, well, you're picking up a whole lot and then you wasting your time. All of us here can say, if I could go back or if I knew then what I know now, this is that analogy. That's why I'm saying it. That's why I'm saying that. Keep your goodies to yourself. Keep them to yourself. You run around giving your goodies away and don't even know his name? Please. What's his mama's name? What's his daddy's name? Where did they meet? What school did this mom and daddy go to? Have you done any interviewing on this cat? Yeah, interview in a kind, sweet, roundabout way. So tell me about yourself. Oh my gosh, you're just so amazing. Really? How many brothers and sisters do you have? Oh, that's a lot of kids. So how did you feel having that many children? Do you want that many kids in your life? Not that I'm having them for them, but you know what I'm saying? You got to learn to interview some people. Oh, congratulations to your daughter, forgiven and blessed. I hope that she is taking the time and he is taking the time to make sure they are the right person and that they have an exceptional marriage. People base their entire identity and reason for existing on their parts. Yes, they do. And that's the problem. That's part and parcel of the issue right now. That's part and parcel of the issue right now. Ozzy Malice said, my pipes are rusty because I refuse to shack up and wasting myself on a man that is led to not building a life. So I'm abstinent till I do find that. Going on 2 years, people think I'm strange. Nope, you're safe too and you're healthy. Okay? You know what comes in and out of your home. You don't have to worry about that. And by your home, I mean your personal space. You know what's there. You don't have to have anybody come in. You don't have to be like everybody else just for them to feel like, they're important. Like I said, I like Kevin Samuels, but I just don't agree that women who have already had children and who have, I don't agree that women who've already had children and who have been married while dating after either a divorce or after being widowed, I don't believe that a woman, because of those two things, should just give it up to whoever she goes out with. It. If a guy asks her out, she needs to give it up. I'm sorry, that's not cool. I don't know you like that. You can back up. Get back. So sorry. Get out my face. Okay? Unless you're going to bring me a resume to show me everybody that you've been with. When the last time you went to the doctor, what the doctor saying? When's the last test you had that did said X, Y, and Z? And then besides that, I don't like you like that. Not everybody you go out with and have a cup of coffee with is somebody you're going to hang out with. So just because he buy you a cup of coffee, I take you out, you ought to know what time it is. That's what you're basically saying. Yeah, that's what he said. Forgiven and blessed, congrats. Alice, you have already gone through the worst of it. The rest is coming to terms with the fact that no one is worth what you have to give. And then you know what the thing about it is to be honest with you, if it is your desire that you be with somebody, then pray and talk to the Father. Let him know if you're lonely. He knows the desires of your heart. Now, a lot of women get a little sad about praying and asking the Father for a mate because they feel like, well, he don't know my taste and he gonna bring me something that looks like X, Y, or Z. You don't know what God has for you. And it's not his desire that you be alone and by yourself. If you're like 25 to 30 years old and you ain't married yet, you in trouble, sister. Because again, geriatric pregnancy is at 35 years old. So when you going to have babies? Okay? All right? So Melinda Ann says, in some states, biracial marriage was a felony. When I was coming up, a mixed marriage was a Catholic marrying outside the faith. Thank God that's changed. You see, deplorable. I think it's about finding one who knows what compromise really is. But you know what? The whole piece about marriage, when you consider the whole thing about marriage, it's really not a compromise if we get into the word. If we get into the word, it's, hey, dog face, pony soldier, how you been? How you been? Yes, it is. You're absolutely right. We ain't even talking about that. But dog face, pony soldier, I have been thinking of you. I'm so glad to see you here today. So yeah, but you know what I mean? It's like the whole deal is that if you get into the word and that's where, see, if you say you are in the word, then that's where you're supposed to be. In the word. You can't be half and half. And if you aren't in this conversation, it's not for you. But if you are a godly person, if you are into the word, if you are set apart, if you are sanctified, then you need to be doing the word. And if that's the case, talk to the Father. But women who are not married right now, please, let me tell you something. Please practice the art of, get ready, submission. Please practice the art of submission. I have 4 sons, and all I can say is, for the ladies that are out there these days, yikes. Whew, submission. What is the problem? If the guy's doing the right thing and you got, gee whiz, some of the women today are in some trouble. So there's a lot of work that we women have to do. But I would just say that if you are single and you are set apart and you are in the word, practice the art of submission. Practice the art, because again, you're going to submit to somebody. If you're on a job, you're going to submit to that cat that you clock in and out for. You're going to submit to somebody. And the sad part is there are a lot of good young ladies out there that are submitting to bad guys that are just crap because they went below the neck and allowed them to know that. And they still don't even know homeboy's name. All right. So 36, no kids, no premarital business before, want a husband and children, but godly leadership in men is hard to find, as our nation is proving. Absolutely, Desiree. But you know what? Sometimes you got to do? You got to look at the fact that there could be a lot of fixer-uppers in your town. Most men don't become really good guys until after they're married anyway, because the woman and the husband making that one, they begin to build each other up. Build each other up. So let's say you got a guy right now and maybe he's just making a few bucks a year. Let's see, maybe 42 to 50,000. And maybe you make more than that. If he's a good cat and you guys really do enjoy each other's company and he really is digging you and you really are digging him, and you guys want to go a little step further and just start to date exclusively, then if you're really not interested in marrying that cat, then let him go. But if you can see that he may have some potential in him and we are getting along real good, I submit that if he asks you to marry him and he's not a crazy guy and everything is equal, I submit get married. That's what I submit. And build him up. Build him up and help him. Whatever it is that you have to do, because conversely, he's going to do the same for you. And that's what a good marriage is. It's each person not necessarily compromising, because that means somebody's going to have a little bit of resentment later on. That means each one of y'all step to the thing and you both got 100% in it. And while you both had 100% in it, one is in their lane, the other is in their lane, and they mesh. It goes well together. The next guest that we're going to have that's going to be coming to the show, hopefully very soon, is Sanya Mann, because I would like for her to discuss with all the moms and the women out there how to actually run your household so that you can, from sun up to sundown, stay at home and take care of your family, and you'll find your worth there. There's nothing wrong with staying at home, nothing at all. But the problem is that even the church has got it all mixed up. So we're about to close down. I'm going to go ahead and read some of these comments, the last 2 articles, so that we can stay under the hour mark. The last 2 articles are in the description. You guys take them and read them at your leisure, and you will see at your leisure, and you'll actually see how many people are getting married and why not. And there's also the funny thing is that I think this last one that dealt with the statistics is from the UN, the Compare Camp. Yeah. And it's inside the description. So this one here is something else. And it's talking about, in 2010, 4.3% of the women worldwide got to their late 40s without even being married. So you already know by then, that's an interesting read. So you already know by then, her eggs were already powdered. She already had powdered eggs by then. 40-some years old? Please. And the hips don't move like they used to. So Awesome Allen says, these days, they think to find someone is like test driving a car. Exactly. I'm sorry. I don't want you all over me. Get away. You know what I mean? All right. What's up with men who refuse to work? Well, I think a lot of men that want to, okay, let me tell you what's up with them. They've gotten away with it. Rachel Van Ziel. They have gotten away with it. That's what's up with them. They've all gotten away with it. Because now they're all homosexuals. They're just looking for somebody's couch to hang around on. And, well, there's one old 50-year-old lady or 45-year-old lady who thought she had a better chance coming, and she'll be happy to let him sleep on the couch because now she's got control over him. She can always say, get out of, quote, my house. They say my house. Get out of my house. But that's another story and another show for another time. All right. That's exactly what that is. So old head dude says men have to be able to relax at home. Well, yes, they do have to be able to relax at home. And that's the reason why we have to get back to the way that we are supposed to be. That's the reason why. Rachel says I have an issue with men who refuse to work so they won't have to pay child support. Grr. And I have a problem with the women that allow them to lay up on them and say, well, he don't want to pay no child support, so he's staying with me. You're an idiot too. That's one thing. If you ain't paying no child support, I remember when right after I had gotten a divorce, and maybe like a year later, I started dating, and I was asked a guy. I said, "Okay, well, great." I said, "You have children?" He goes, "Yes, I do. I have one little girl." Well, that's outstanding. What's her name? And oh, wow, okay. And so she's here with you now. Oh no, she's back in such and such with her mother. Oh well, I'm sure you guys have great time for your summer vacations, right? Oh yes, yes, yes. She loves things. She loves do lots of things. What things specifically does she like to do? I ask him. Oh well, she like to go to the museum. She like to go, to the park. Oh, okay. So are you have that plan this year for the park and for the museum in a couple of months when school break comes? Oh no, see, because I don't even know where her mom and them live. They moved, and then when she moved, she didn't give me this. I said, well, do you have paperwork from the court? Yeah, yeah. I said, and you haven't gone back to petition the court to let them know you can't find your child? Eh, you're done. That's it. You're a scumbum. You will never see me again. And he never did. You ain't taking care of your kids. That ought to be a clear indication to you ladies that he's not worth your time. If a man doesn't take care of his children, he's like an infidel. You don't take care of your own household, you're a garbage bag. Okay? That's just the truth. Plain and simple. Okay? Hobosexual, like a hobo. Hobo. You like a hobo living on the road? Hobosexual. Yeah, you can use that one. The funny thing is that after my son said it, almost 2 years after he said it on his Instagram page, I saw a comedian not long ago actually say it. My son had it on his Instagram page, and I just roared in laughter. I thought it was so terribly funny. And then all of a sudden, maybe 2 years later, I see this comedian making a joke with it, and I thought it was funny. So maybe he saw my son. I don't know. Um, you know what I mean? Okay. Even more than wasting your time when you sleep with losers, you're wasting your heart. Yeah, it's like I mean, haven't you done it before? If you've done it before, why do you got to keep doing it? You've already done it before. You know how it works. You know what the sensation is like. Do you really have to keep doing it to prove what point that you can be dumped even quicker? Because as soon as a man conquers that sister, he's out of there. He is out of there. I don't care what nobody say. I'm going to say it just like Tupac said it. I don't want it if it's that easy. If it's that easy, a brother ain't going to drag you down no aisle. Please. If you gave it to him that quick, boy. Right. Then you wonder, well, we were together for 10 years after that. Yeah, and he still ain't married you. No, he's not going to marry you. Nope, nope, nope. I knew Felicia was going there 10 seconds before. I don't even remember what that was about. Okay, we're going all the way down the line here. Get all these up here so you guys can see your name and lights. Okay. And that's just it in a nutshell. So the reason why people aren't married anymore right now today is because of their aunts and their grandmothers and their moms telling them to go out and get an education first. All right? Go out and get an education first. And then live your life. Go buy you a house first. You ain't leaving nothing for the brother to help you with. I done told you a man likes to be needed, and you ain't left nothing for the brother. Not a thing. I got my house. I got my car. You sound like an idiot. I got my house. I got my car. I got my bank account. I got everything I need. I don't need no man. I don't need no man. And then you say you're a godly woman. How is that godly? How is that godly? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the whole word I saw is having some conversations with regards to submission. Submission is a beautiful word. It is a beautiful word because when you are doing the things that you're supposed to do and you are being submitted to your spouse as unto the Father, when you are submitted to your husband, you are being submitted as unto the Father. So because you are submitted to the Father, you be submitted to your husband and realize that he is everywhere you are. So everything you say or do, he see you, boo-boo. He see you, baby. He see you. Okay? So be submitted. Submit. Husbands and wives, be submitted to each other. But wives, remember, he's not pushing a lot of times because he loves you and adores you. Don't make him end up just, giving up altogether. Make him, honey, stay at the house, do what you're supposed to do, and watch the father breathe on the income that's coming in. Oh my gosh, he's got to be crazy. These days, you got to have two incomes. Try it and see. If you lost your job and he still has his, and you guys are making it, then keep going. Keep going. You'll find that you're going to save a lot more money. Well, that's a conversation again for another talk. Listen, you guys, we're here at a 1 hour mark. You still aren't married? Is the topic for today. I want you all to make sure that you go down below in the description and click on all those links and look at those statistics that are telling us why young adults right now today are cohabiting. They're cohabitation. They're doing that as opposed to getting married. Go check that out. Okay. And I want you guys to have a great weekend. Have a great rest of your weekend. The word submission. Let's see here. Yeah, because a lot of people think that it means, like a doormat. I think that's the problem. Melinda Ann Burns says, the word submission has been so misinterpreted. That's right. And it has. But, I think the problem is, and I had my mother-in-law, my former mother-in-law was a smart woman. And my mother-in-law to my current husband, she was awesome. But the one thing the first one said to me was, you don't have to respond to everything he says. You know that, right? When he says something, just let him talk. He'll forget about it in the next 15 minutes anyway. So I learned that. I was like, wow, she's right. Huh. Okay. All right, honey, no problem. There doesn't have to be a response or a rebuttal to everything. And I think a lot of times we don't forgive. And so because we don't forgive, it's not even the fact that we do or don't want to do what he's saying. It's the fact that we're bitter. Get over the bitterness, lady. A wise woman buildeth her house up, talking to married women, but a foolish one plucketh it down with her own mitts, hands. Your own hands. You did that. So if you're wise, use some wisdom. Pretend like you are doing a customer service gig and your life depends on it. Pretend like you're a customer service representative and your gig just depends on it. And customer service him, not a problem. Is there anything else you'd like? Is there anything else I can do for you today, sir? No worries. Oh, you want me to get a beer for you out of the refrigerator? Well, you've got two types. Would you like the Michelob or would you like the Yingling? Oh, Yingling it is. Did you want me to frost that glass for you? Did you want that regular? Oh, you want it frosted? No problem. Your house shoes? Sure, no problem. Is there anything else I can get for you? Okay, great, no problem. Yes, sir. You better hostess it. You better hostess it. I don't know why. You better hostess that thing. You want to keep that man? You better hostess it. Don't always throw him away. I've had some stories I could tell you. Go ahead on and dig way back. In my appendix here on YouTube. Could have thrown him away. Tried to throw him away. Thought about throwing him away. Said I was throwing him away. Threw him away and picked him back up. Yeah, that part. Better stay. You better sit your tail down someplace. Don't have a hardness of your heart. The hardness of your heart, speaking to older married women right now, it's your hardness of your heart that prevents you from walking into that 50, 60-year marriage mark. I know I should have just left my first and just got away in safety and waited for that good guy that I was married to during those years of the military to get his game plan together and take him and put him in some place where he could talk out those problems, take him to the VA, see what the real issue is. But I'm going to tell you something. When you got to knock somebody upside the head because they're trying to knock you upside your head, that's not a good feeling. So if I had thought back and if I could look back, I would have fixed it. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? What you talking about down here? Old head dude said, you know Lockhart used to be a hottie. Do you want to see what I looked like when I was young? I think I have some Instagram stuff here. I think I can share my. I'm going to get it for you. Let me show you. I suspect she still is a hottie. Ha ha. All right, come on. I'm gonna show you guys. Let's go. Let's raid my Instagram page. Let me see if I have a couple of pictures of me when I was younger. Let's see if I have a couple of pictures of me when I was younger. Hold on just a second. Hold on just a second. I'm gonna show you. Let's see. I'm pulling up my Instagram page to see if I have any pictures of when I was 17. It was a very good year. Yeah, it was a very good year. Yeah, when I was 17. Okay, hold on. I know I totally thrashed that song. Totally thrashed that song. Okay, 80% of being a hottie is attitude. Hey, Mr. Leslie. Hey, hey, hey. But do you know that you have a different attitude when you're with your friends than when you're with your. For me, for example, you guys see me as being very strong here. I don't like to be strong with my husband. I like him to be who he is, and I like to be vulnerable with him. I think that's an important feeling for me to just be myself. You know, I ain't got no hair. I keep my hair cut short. But it's great to just be able to let it down. Just be who you are. Just be vulnerable. All right, so here we go. Let's look and see if we have any photos of myself on my Instagram. I almost think I do. I think I do. Let's go here. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go all the way. Scrolling down, scrolling down, scrolling down. This is my son right there. This is me, but that's not young youth. That's not youth. That's not my youth. That's like at, I forgot how old it was. What was it about? I think it was 30. No, it was 40, about 41, 42. Or 42 at that time. Okay, let me find me. That's my friend girls. Those are all my friend girls. That's me. There I am. Let's go back. Let's go right here. That's me at 17. Yeah, I was 17, 16. I was 16. I was 17, 16, 17. I was something like that. There you go. Can you see me? So that was me when I was young. That was me when I was 16, 17. I was 16. Had just had my sweet 16 going into my 17th year. It was 17 there. I don't remember. 16 or 17. There you go. That was me. 16. I was 16. Yep. That's me. There's the chick. Yep. What else? Do I have any more here when I was even little, when I was younger? That's my mother. I don't know if you guys can see her or not. Can you see that? That's my mom. That's my birth mother. She was Cherokee Indian. Yep. Cherokee Indian. That's my mama. See that? That's her. She was Cherokee. She's indigenous. They were born. She's from the Delta. She's from the Delta. That's where she was from. Yep. Now let's see what else we got in there. Let's see. You guys already know my sister, right? Sister Karim. That's me as a little kid. That's me as a little girl. It's me as a little bitty girl. Hilarious, right? You see yourself when you're young. You're like, wow, yikes. Yeah. That's the man I married and me. Okay. Honey, let me tell y'all something about a wig. A wig can do wonders for a sister. Better go out and get yourself a Friday and a Saturday. Saturday friend. I told y'all go get you a friend. Go get you a friend. What else we got here? That's when I did. Oh, I cut her hair. I cut her hair. That's what that is. You remember her? She came on the show. Yeah, cut her hair. Cut her hair. That's me. More me. More me. This is me at graduation time. Make this smaller so you can see it. This is when I graduated. This is my cap and gown picture. That's me. Cap and gown. and gown. Yep. Back down memory lane. I called this my George Washington hairdo. You know that awkward age when you're at the 13-year mark? You're 13 years old. I've got the pimples. My hair was thick and long, and it was so super curly, what we used to call nappy. And here's one of my friends from back then. She says, yep, I remember this girl. So we've been friends forever, right? So my hair was so thick that's all I could do was a George Washington comb over, because the hair, I could not get down into the hair because it was just so thick and so curly. So I had that big old, I said I had I was in an awkward stage. I was in a very awkward stage. Yeah, I don't know if there's any more pictures of me. That's my sister Karim. You guys remember her. And that's me. And I think that's the last photo I have. Yeah, that's it. That's the last one. So that's how I looked when I was younger. How about that? How's about that? Well, I sure appreciate you, Rachel Van Ziel, for saying that. And Ozamela says, hee. I helped a lady with picking a wig out last week. You know what I'm saying? Girl, you better go ahead and get you a couple of friend girls for the weekend. Every lady wants to be a little different. Deplorable says the eyes. Old Head Dude says, ooh, Lockhart. You a real cutie pie. Thank you, sweetie pie. Beautiful ladies, my sister, all of us. Humans. All of y'all is beautiful. Everybody's beautiful. Ring my bell. All right, y'all. It's an hour and 11 minutes. And even though we didn't get to cover a lot of stuff, you already know that I don't want you guys to be held on any longer or holding on. And so we'll just break it up and we'll come back and talk about another time. You know, the channel is headed toward the family. We're still mixing and matching some of the other stuff too, because we still got to talk about regular stuff. But the main crux is the family, because I believe that while our eyes are looking on everything else, the family is steadily being deteriorated. Some of those photos, you can tell you weren't playing that day. Yeah. Okay, y'all, take care. And remember what we always say on this channel, that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the Most High. Yeah. Y'all take care of one another. To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Helping you along the way. Helping you to make it through another day.